The Golden Knights dropped the opening game of the 5-game road swing to the Washington Capitals. They're shut out 3-0. We recap last night's loss coming up next right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Find us wherever you get your podcast and subscribe to the YouTube channel Locked On Golden Knights. Post game last night, Chris. Bruce Cassidy, a little throwback there. Snake bitten. He threw the word snake bitten out.
I knew it was coming.
That was for
I had
you.
A feeling.
That was especially for you. So VGK ran into a very hot goalie last night in D.C. And Charlie Lindgren, he stopped all 35 shots on net, including 4 VGK breakaways en route to the win. And we told you on yesterday's show about the surging Caps team. Now 7-1-1 out of their last 9 games, I should say. Dylan Strome with the first goal. First for the Caps, then 2 goals in the final minute. Actually, 2 goals over the course of 16 seconds. Connor McMichael, and Beck Mallenstein, and that was it. Those 2 scored late. The 4 breakaways, 2 by Carlson, 1 by Barbashev, 1 by Jack Eichel. They were stopped head on. Did you notice after the game, if you stuck with the broadcast there, if it wasn't buffering a million times, did you notice the frustration on the face of Mark Stone? He just stayed on the ice. Everyone had left the bench, and the look on his face was, I think it was disgust. I thought he was really upset, obviously upset, had 7 shots on goal in that game last night, and in between, at the first intermission, in between periods, first and second, he kind of pointed towards, I think the rest of the team did it, as did Cassidy, a missed assignment by Ben Hutton because he pinched too deep into the zone, and then they had the odd man rush, and then we saw that goal there by Dylan Strome. The Golden Knights, again, it was deep in the offensive zone, and it might have cost VGK on the Strome goal, but I thought that everyone alluded to that one play which cost them early. Was this a case of hot goaltending or missed opportunities by the Vegas Golden Knights? A lot thrown at you there, Mr. Snakebitten.
No, let's go. It's everything. I think you have to start by crediting Lindgren for a masterclass goaltending performance. Dude came to play. Golden Knights threw about everything at him. I won't say they threw everything they had because there were some failed moments of execution, but from a general perspective, yeah, the Golden Knights gave Lindgren everything they had. They emptied the clip, whatever terminology you want to use, and Lindgren stood tall. So give him all the credit in the world. Ben Hutton, he pinched. He made a mistake. It happens. I mean, so be it. Hutton is a very serviceable defenseman on this team. And credits whoever scored that first. Strome. Credits Strome for absolutely sniping Logan Thompson. Great goal, great play, opportunistic goal, whatever terminology you want to use. And, that really was the difference in the game. Cassidy said in the postgame, it's a 1-0 game. And he's right. Not concerned with the efforts, not concerned with the shots. I mean, 35 shots on goal, 4 breakaways. Power play, I'm sure we'll talk a little more about that in the segment, but you'd like to see a little better puck movement on the power play, more opportunities. I mean, again, breakaways on shorthanded when they're short and stuff. Carlson missed a breakaway, Tony. I'll say it for you, because I know you were dying to say
Now,
that.
was that a dynamic and dynamite save, or did he just miss the net?
It was a good poke check is what it was, honestly. Carlson waited a little too long to shoot, but that's part of the game,
behind,
right?
Guy, he hit his stick. He stopped his stick right there, and it went wide.
Yeah, no, it was a great play. It was credit the Caps.
Play.
In my pregame on Vegas Hockey Now, basically I said, if this is a low-scoring game, it's going to benefit the Caps. That's how they've been winning their games. They're a 2-1, 3-2 team right now. They're not scoring, but they're playing defense. With the players on that team, they'll figure out how to score. And if Max Pacioretty has 50% of his scoring touch, once he comes back, the team's going to benefit greatly. And who knows, they could be trouble come playoffs if they keep getting that goaltending. If the Golden Knights could have turned this game into a track meet, they win this game easily 5-1, right? So Lindgren didn't allow that. And it's one of those spots where these games happen. And, on to Thursday against Montreal.
I thought the Caps were just a little bit better than we expected them to be, too. I did. I thought the defense looked pretty good. They couldn't finish plays. Yes, we'll talk about the power play. I think we'll talk about that in the next segment when we recap stuff there on our list. Will Cotter be suspended? Okay. Yeah, that's how we do our show here.
It fits right in with that.
Okay.
It fits right in. Finishing, I'm going to jump in with Mike Amadio right now. Michael Amadio, he's
snake bitten. He's
snake bitten, sure, whatever you want to say. But what Amadio is doing well, he's getting opportunities. He's been getting behind the defense for the last week and a half now in Chandler Stevenson's place. But at some point, he's got to finish one of these. And, I think for a while, it's, hey, he's doing a good job. He's filling a new role. He's, good job in helping out the team and stuff like that. But Amadio had 7 shots on goal last night. Huge positive. Great. I don't know if he's ever had that many shots in his career as a Golden Knight. So good. Or is it 7 or 5 for Amadio?
It was 7 for Stone. I think it might have been 5.
It was 5 for Amadio. Pardon me. 5 for Amadio, which is still a lot of shots. Of those 5, I feel like 3 of them were high danger chances, whether it was from the slot when he buried it right into the goalie's crest, got alone with the goalie a couple of times. So Amadio, yes, he's giving the Golden Knights more, but he's got to find a way to start finishing.
Can we talk about the fight that really wasn't a fight? It was lopsided.
Kolesar got a jab. He got a jab, but that was it.
The jab.
He got a left deep. He got a left in there, and then he got
So Dylan
game over.
McElrath first. What a hit on Jonas Ronbjorg. Is Ronbjorg okay? Did he come back? I didn't see much of him after that. Did you?
Ronbjorg, well, he was killing penalties and stuff. He finished with 8:38 of ice time, which is about normal for him.
Okay, so Kolesar comes to Ronbjorg's defense.
Good hit. Good clean hit. Good.
Oh, my goodness. Was that a good hit? Bad idea.
Keep your head up, kids. Keep your head up.
This McElrath is an absolute beast. So he was you could tell that he was overpowering him. He hit him with that one shot on top of his helmet, and I thought they were going to have to send Kolesar to the tent for concussion protocol. And then he crumbled, and you could just see the shot to Kolesar's face.
2 great rights.
Oh, my goodness. Those were powerful. Let's talk about the penalty box and them just talking and the respect between these two guys. First of all, you could read Kolesar's lips, and that he said, wow, he's strong. Yeah, that's the first thing. And then they were exchanging pleasantries, I guess, and maybe Kolesar was concussed, because I wouldn't be going, hey, great job. Thanks for beating the snot out of me today.
You got some Rocky 3 happening there, right? In Rocky 1 and 2, Apollo Creed and Rocky, kick the crap out of each other. And then now in Rocky 3 here, I think McElrath is going to be Kolesar's trainer maybe for his big matchup against Ivan Drago in Rocky 4 or something like that. But you do enjoy the respect and when the players are talking and stuff like that. I mean, it's a fight that did it need to happen? I don't think it needed to happen. Is it a fight that you like to see? Of course. I mean, that's the NHL. You stand up for your teammates. You stand up for your brothers out there. And that's exactly what Kolesar did. He thought nothing, didn't think twice. You might think twice the next time he sees McElrath. Don't get me wrong. But, Kolesar, this is what he does for the team. And this is why he is one of the most respected members of that locker room right there. I mean, how many punches has he taken for this team? And not to dog on Kolesar, but he's been on the wrong end of a few fights in his career, and he's taken some bumps and bruises, and he keeps on coming back. He's also won his fair share of fights too.
How does he win? Uppercuts. No
uppercuts and body blows. Uppercuts and body blows.
He goes to the body where there's all that padding, which makes no sense. And
it depends. If you get him like where the belly button is, that's usually a good spot. But the shoulder pads for a lot of these guys now, they're going a lot lower than they used to in the 80s and stuff.
Okay. And McElrath, as we know, was the enforcer for the Hershey Bears last year. He's been in 3 big fights this year. That was his 3rd fight, I think, already. And VGK already, I think, has surpassed year to date from a season ago the amount of fights. And this was the first game for me where I sort of saw teams going after VGK, like in a sense, where they're playing East versus West. And you could see it was noticeable to me. VGK now will have a target on their back here. I think there might be, I think there's going to be some good action the rest of this trip as they go up and down the East Coast, where now finally you have teams that are going to play with a different intent. I don't know, like the Pacific Division games weren't like this to me, just in my estimation.
I get what you're saying. East Coast hockey is a lot different than West Coast hockey. It's heavier, it's bigger, it's slower in the neutral zone, and that's just kind of how it's been for the last, I don't know, 20 years, 25 years, whatever you want to say. Maybe
Take the under.
maybe longer.
Bet the under.
Take the under. There you go. I mean, we all nailed that it was going to be a low scoring game. All 4 of us on the panel yesterday. We all half of the panel had the goals right and stuff, and
and then I've won 4 straight. Come on.
I got to update the standings. I got to update the standings right now. So if you won 4 straight, that means you're taking the opposition a lot more right now, which is also fair. Right?
3 out of 4.
But really fast, I mean, I think a little more credit needs to be given to VGK, and we'll talk a little more about this in the 3rd segment. But in short, yes or no, and I'll ask you, and my answer is yes. Did the Golden Knights have a winning effort? And then sub question, did they at least have an effort worthy of getting to overtime last night? Yes or no, Tony?
I think that they were snake bitten in the game.
So the answer is yes. If they're snake bitten, they're getting their chances. So
I don't know if it was as much good goaltending as a lack of finishing for the VGK. Say what you will.
You can chop up a little bit of both on that, definitely. No doubt. You can chop that on both sides.
Coming up next, Paul Cotter waits for his hearing with the NHL Safety Committee and subsequent suspension coming up on that match penalty in the 2nd period of last night's game. We'll talk about this more. We return right here. Gosh, I'm talking so fast. Right here on Locked On Golden Knights. I still say Jack Eichel will be scoring 50 goals this season. And if he does so, VGK will repeat as Stanley Cup champions and go back to the White House. A hat trick, right, for Alec Martinez. 3rd visit there to the Rose Garden. Hat trick.
Yeah. Where's Jonathan Quick? Anyway,
you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the National Hockey of the NHL Network, I should say. My goodness. Sleeper, our #1 chance for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey. And you could do this with Sleeper because you could win 100 times of your cash that you'd wager in daily fantasy hockey contest. Fans that play daily fantasy hockey can also play NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and college football as well. And all you have to do is pick on whether studs like David Pasternak, who's now Pasta's getting pretty hot. He's heating up. Elias Pettersson, Artemi Panarin, players like that. Of course, I threw the Ranger in there. You all you have to do is see whether or not these studs will record more or less than their sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus, minus, and more in a given game. To win 100 times your bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard us, VGK fans. You can win 100 times your money by playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention now and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL. That's LOCKEDONNHL. It'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. Once again, the code LOCKEDONNHL. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. We appreciate you making us your first listen every day. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights. We now have not 1, but 2 features each week. On Fridays, it's WTF1. It's What the Friday. And we'll do the WTF1 because the client dropped me 2 tickets for tonight's opening ceremony. I'm not going to go anywhere, so I'm going to go. I'm going to go. I'm going to scout it out. Clients come in tomorrow. I'll tell them where they need to be, how they need to go there, what they need to do. So that's what I'm doing tonight. And tomorrow we will have perhaps the entire show dedicated to WTF1. On Saturdays, the YouTube exclusive, and that is Chris times Chris, the Golick family. So don't make sure that you don't miss that. All right, so Paul Cotter today expected to have that hearing with player safety, facing a suspension for a hit to the head of Evgeny Kuznetsov. That was at the 5:18 mark, jotted down, of period number 2. It was a shoulder to the head of Kuznetsov. No fancy. Kuznetsov did not take a dive. He got walloped in the head. And it doesn't matter if it's intentional or not. I thought that Cotter, myself personally, went under with his shoulder, and then he lifted it up. And I thought that it was a real dangerous play. So let's get your reacts, if we can, Mr. Golick.
So did Cotter mean to clip the guy in the head and potentially hurt him? Of course not. Does Cotter play on that line? Does he play a very physical and aggressive game and right around the league leaders in hits? Absolutely. So that's going to result in sometimes something like this happening. Cotter got him right in the head. So I think one thing needs to be clarified right now. The only way to initiate a video review for a major penalty is if a major penalty is called on the ice. There was some concern last night. I saw it up and down Twitter and even on the broadcast that they felt there was never a call on the ice. So how did they review this? I didn't see either ref's hand go up. So we'll start right there. But
Good point.
But we're not done.
Okay.
The referees can talk to the linesman and say, hey, what do you got? Did you see something? And the linesman can say, absolutely, yeah, Cotter hit him with a shoulder right to the head. It's a 5-minute major. So that's why there are 4 officials on the ice. Yes, linesmen cannot directly call any penalties outside of, I believe, a delay of game is the only penalty a linesman can call. Every other penalty call has to go through the referee, but the linesman can't approach the ref, or the ref can approach the linesman and say, hey, why is that guy laying on the ground right there? What happened? And then they have that conversation. I saw this in person last year, actually, at the AHL, Silver Knights. Keaton Korczak kicked somebody on the ground. He kicked him. The refs didn't see it. It happened right in front of the visiting bench. And the linesman right away, I got it, was yelling to the bench because the bench was chirping like, hey, how did no one see this? The next whistle, play stops. The line, he skates right up to the ref and says, hey, here's what happened. Korczak is ejected for kicking. I don't know if that carried a suspension or not, but Korczak was disqualified from the game. We're going to talk in NFL terms for a second. So that's probably how the first part of this came together. Now, what did I see? Saw an illegal check to the head, plain and simple. Kuznetsov is turning. Cotter caught him. Cotter made an irresponsible hit. Is there intent involved to get him in the head? No. Is it irresponsible to make that type of hit in the other team in your offensive zone? Yes, it's very irresponsible. So now this is where, take a second, folks. Go on Twitter. Go on the NHL player safety handle.
They usually wake up around noon to 1 o'clock.
I'll say by 9 a.m. there's going to be a tweet talking about this, but whatever you say, Tony.
I'm going to take
only in the playoffs. In the playoffs, they sleep in the playoffs. They're on revised hours in the playoffs, but the regular season they're up early, I think.
Right.
So scroll up and down, guys, and you will see all the suspensions. They show the video and they talk about what they saw and what the penalty or suspension was and or will be. So going up and down really quickly here as far as the suspensions this year. A player gets a suspension for a cross check. Okay, fine, whatever that one. McAvoy got 4 games for an illegal check to the head to Ekman Larson. I don't think this is of the 4-game variety. Connor Clifton gets 2 games for an illegal check to the head. That's charging. We're not going to worry about that one. And then we scroll back to October 11th. Brett Howden suspended for 2 games for an illegal check to the head of Brandon Tanev. Was this as bad as that, like the blindside type of variety? I don't think it was as bad as Howden's hits. But I think the precedents that the NHL has set, if you go up and down the player safety site, don't look at the playoffs. The playoffs are a little different. They usually do less in the playoffs because of how important the games are. But most of the illegal checks to the head, unless it's a crazy thing like what McAvoy did, carry a 2-game suspension. Could it maybe be 1 game because it happened earlier in the second and they do like a time served type of thing? Maybe. But I'll set the line that even money, he gets 2 games.
Well, Spencer Carberry, if you noticed, did this. Whoops, 5.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
And that might have prompted the officials to take a look at it. I didn't see a call on the ice either myself.
No, neither official's hand that I saw on the replays went up. I could be wrong, but definitely if the low official's head didn't go up or hand didn't go up, but the low official also has to look through the goaltender and the net because it happened right next to the net, right next to the goal. So the low official, no way he's going to see it. So the high official is the only one who's going to make that call. And the high official, so the high official's job is actually not to watch the puck; it's to watch the front of the nets. So I could see a path where neither referee even saw the play happen.
The only issue I have with this play, they immediately on state-run television went to no intent here, when clearly you break that play down, and Cotter clearly went underneath and pushed up with the shoulder. He went underneath and pushed up. If he just goes straight through because net's off, then I don't think it's a big deal. The fact at the end of the play, there was some intent there, in my estimation, in the way that he came up and under with the shoulder. And that's just my opinion.
I hear what you're saying. I get that. As far as what the Golden Knights announcers are saying, picture if the NHL Department of Player Safety, I don't know what the review process is if they watch this with audio on or not, but you're not going to get the Golden Knights announcer saying, "Oh, that was irresponsible. Cotter gets a suspension." I mean, there's got to be some gamesmanship in there, and I understand that. What was kind of funny is it was in the first or the second intermission. They said it looks like he didn't get him that hard. He wasn't going that fast. And they showed the replay in slow motion. So Darren Elliott's like, well, of course, they're showing it in slow motion. Of course, like he right away said that. So that gave Darren Elliott some points in my book. I thought that was pretty cool. He was like, guys, let's give it a fair shake here, I think is what he was trying to say.
Absolutely. Who takes the place of Cotter in the lineup now? And he'll probably be gone for a couple of games at the very least.
So I can't remember who. Well, it looks like possibly Stevenson and Wah are both going to be back. Number one. One of them practiced in a regular sweater, and one of them was still in the non-contact. I'm trying to find out.
I think Stevenson would probably come back sooner.
I know Ben was at the game yesterday, so he was at practice and trying to see what Ben Gotts had to say. But let's see here. I'll find it.
Okay, while you're doing that,
you do that. Yeah, keep going.
Okay, that resulted in a 5-minute power play. You could put the Caps on the power play for a full 60 minutes, and they still wouldn't score. They're now at 7% on the power play, 3 for 41, currently 0 for 20, right? That might be the worst looking power play that I've seen in a long time. Absolutely.
Talking about the Caps, yeah. When you got Ovi out there, if you can't find a way to funnel that puck to him for that one timer, and what was interesting is there was Ovi did get one chance on the power play to rip that one timer, and Logan just sold out. Like if Ovi makes a pass there, it's a tap in for any of the other 3 Caps on the other side of the ice, but that's not how they go. So according to Ben Goetz yesterday, Nick Wah, regular jerseys, he'll be back on Thursday. Stevenson and Haig, they're on the trip. They're both still in red. So definitely, I won't say definitely, but most likely Nick Wah is back on Thursday. I would say Stevenson is still a possibility. If they both come back, then it's not going to be a big deal for one game. If Nick Wah only comes back, Nick Wah probably centers the 4th line. You move Howden up to Cotter's spot, and that's how they'll work that out for the one game. If Stevenson and Wah are both back, then obviously it's probably the same thing happens either way. Ron Bjerg just becomes a scratch at that point then.
Coming up next, Should VGK be concerned after losing 3 of their last 4? We get to that when we return right
Sky
here
is falling. The sky is falling.
on Locked On Golden Knights. You could score right now this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get a $150 bonus in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get into the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including point spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off this NFL season the right way. FanDuel, official partner of the National Football League. We are back on this edition, the Wednesday edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. We appreciate you making us your first listen every day. And please subscribe to that YouTube channel. We need to do a pledge drive, if you will, to get those numbers up. Pledge drive, like they do, like on PBS, Channel 10 here locally. Pledge drive. We're not raising money. Your microphone is muted, bro. So
people are gonna send us money.
No, I'm saying subscribe.
Send us money.
Please.
No, send us money. That's fine. I like this, Tony. I like where you're going with this. Send us money.
VGK. Should this team be concerned now after dropping 3 of 4? And a question that I wanted to pose yesterday. You and I both took the under. We had 5 and a hook on total points on this trip. We should have had another line, whether or not Vancouver passes VGK while they're on this roadie.
That's interesting. Is it that close?
2 points away, and I think perhaps a game in hand. It could be tied here very shortly. Yeah, no, they're closing ground and quick.
Hey, credit Vancouver, playing great. Like I've been down on that team, not down necessarily, but just I've always felt they've been stuck in between, like taking that next step to rebuilding and kind of in that weird murky lake in the middle of between those two areas. So hey, it's good to see. Good for Vancouver.
Should VGK be concerned at this juncture?
So they lost 3 of 4 games. Fine, whatever. But what matters, I think, to the players, right? So when the Golden Knights were doing extremely well early on, the locker room was, I won't say like a funeral, but they were pointing out more negatives in their game. We're finding ways to win. It's just Mark Stone. We're just a little off, right? That's a quote from Mark Stone. Execution not where it needs to be, just little things. But they're still finding ways to win. So I started to talk about this, and I think the top segments are the Golden Knights still giving efforts that could at least get a point and possibly win a game? And the answer is yes, right? I mean, last night, Lindgren stands on his head. Golden Knights could have finished a little better and cleaned up some things. Cassidy talked about the stick infractions and stuff happening in the offensive zone. Stuff like that shouldn't be happening, but it's going to. It's part of the game. But could the Golden Knights have at least walked away with a point last night? Easy, 100% yes. They crushed the Sharks, doesn't count, whatever. The Kings game last Wednesday, that was a losing effort. Credit the Kings for coming in and, they were the better team that night. Give the Kings all the credit in the world. Golden Knights didn't have a response. Good game, Kings. Going back farther, that Anaheim Ducks game, right? Golden Knights have a 2-goal lead going to the third period. Anaheim gets 3 chances. All 3 chances wind up in the back of the nets.
Oh, the puck had eyes that night. The puck had
eyes that night. But if you want to discredit the Golden Knights for not being able to finish on the opposite side and clean things up, fine, whatever. The Golden Knights can take that shot. But point being is that still was a winning effort when you look at the analytics side, which is what Bruce Cassidy looks at. They crushed the Avalanche. Okay, fine, whatever. The Jets game, I believe, on the second, going back a little farther, was also just a really good winning effort. So if there's concerns when the team is winning because they're not giving good enough efforts, then when the team is giving winning efforts and losing, it's not worth making a big deal about. It's really not. They're going to lose games. This is the NHL. This is the best hockey league on the planet, in the universe. And even the 30th ranked team, the Blackhawks, can come in and beat the Golden Knights on any given night. The Canadians, who's been up and down, can beat the Golden Knights any night. The Caps, who started the season very weak, for lack of a better term, can beat the Golden Knights on any night. And the Caps are hot right now. The Golden Knights have been a little cool. So it was a perfect storm. You know, we called this on the podcast yesterday. We didn't have 3-2, but we felt the Golden Knights were going to be a little behind the 8 ball in this game, but really they weren't. I think the Golden Knights, Tony, maybe we can agree on this. I think the Golden Knights had a better effort than I expected, given the first game of the road trip, 3 time zones, the White House. I say distraction.
Wait.
You know,
Drinking jungle juice out of the cup with Gary Bettman at the White House.
Hey, whatever. I mean,
Bettman was there. Did you see? He was there.
He was there.
Hiding in the woods. I don't know that every commissioner goes to the White House with a winning team, with the championship team.
I bet Bettman does. I think that's just a formality, but I have no.
I saw him, Carlson, and Stone. They were hugging it out. I saw it.
The point
Stone was
being
really
is,
pissed after that game last night. You watch his demeanor, and I bet you.
Listen, Stone wears it on his chin.
Hutton. I'll guarantee you he ripped Hutton.
I don't know.
Guaranteed.
No way. 100%.
Absolutely. He thought that it was too sloppy. It cost
the team doesn't need to rip each other in the locker room. That's the beauty of
the captain's going to take him to task.
Okay, might Mark Stone say something to him? Sure. Is he going to stand? Is he going to stand up when the team is, after they finish their interviews and whatever private setting? Is he going to stand up and start yelling? No, God, no. This is not that team. This is not that team. The Golden Knights locker room is very positive. Listen, if they drop 2 or 3 more games like this, and Hutton does this 2 or 3 more times, then yeah, you're going to see a different conversation. But Hutton pinched. He was wrong. He made a mistake. It's part of life. It happens. I think it's important how that shows how small the margin is between winning and losing a game right now, right? I mean, one play is what ultimately cost the team that night. And obviously a hot goaltender too. But no one's ripping Ben Hutton. No one.
Well, I definitely saw the locker room for the Capitals and the videos that they put out there.
Good.
Carberry jumping up and down, jubilation. They were real happy, what have you. This is what we're going to see more of now. Like we talked about at the start of the season, the target on the back, and now more teams are going to be up for the VGK, and we'll see on this road trip how that takes shape, if it takes effect. And I think right now we're going to see carryover in every city. We'll see it next in Montreal. We'll see that. They'll be pumped up to play the VGK.
Just wait until the playoffs then.
The Golden Knights are going to have to equal that intensity. That's what we're saying.
No nights off. We agree. No nights off for the Golden Knights.
Okay, don't forget tomorrow we will preview the game against Les Habs. Are we going to have another Les Gaff like we had in that first meeting?
Noodle stick.
Noodle stick. We appreciate you all tuning in. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, please. It's gift giving time.
We're almost at 1,400 right now.
Okay, but it's gift giving time, so give the gift that just keeps on giving back, and that is a free YouTube subscription. Of course,
get some burners and do like all your burners too, guys.
All your burner accounts, get them updated. For my man Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cretaster.
$13.95. There we go. Good number.
We will see you all tomorrow. It's come a long way from zero. Started on the bottom. Now we're right here. For Chris Golick, Tony Cretaster from Las Vegas. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
There it is. Okay.